Hello everybody and welcome back to my little podcast. Okay, so I bought a new mic because I thought, it might sound a little better, but I don't know how to use it. Instead, I present to you a buttload of more confidence, so hopefully, emphasis on hopefully, this episode doesn't sound like I'm giving a high school presentation, okay? I hope you're all well, and I do hope you liked that last episode, okay? Okay, guys, there's a lot of hope going on in this episode, a lot of hoping. Nothing wrong with a little hope. Okay, all right, move on, okay? Listen, I've been wanting to do an episode about folklore for quite some time, and then yesterday, I was on TikTok or Instagram, one of the two, big shock, and I watched a video about how certain genre of supernatural films and shows can't use the C word. Zombie. So like films and shows such as Night of the Living Dead or The Walking Dead, they never actually use the word zombie. And apparently the reason for that is something. Because, I didn't really listen. But what did stick with me is that the concept of zombies actually originates from Haitian folklore. And that really piqued my interest. Why? Because hello, I've been planning a folklore episode. So I started doing some digging and down a few rabbit holes, and now here we are. Okay? So that was a very roundabout way of saying we're doing folklore today. Alright? And what's the best place to start if it's not zombies? Okay, let's get into it. So the zombies we know from pop culture are a little different from like the OG zombies. The original concept of zombies can actually be traced back to the Haitian voodoo religion. That being said, both versions, the pop culture one and traditional, share one major similarity, which is a lack of free will. Pop culture zombies are usually driven by an uncontrollable hunger for brains or human flesh, while voodoo zombies are controlled by a sorcerer or priest who reanimates and commands them. And in both cases, a zombie is typically a animated corpse, usually human, though in some stories, I guess animals can be zombified too. But today we're diving into Haitian zombies. These are actually usually spelled as Z-O-M-B-I, so without the E, which, that is kind of cool, and it really would be like a cute baby name if it didn't mean like reanimated corpse, but like it's kind of cute in it. Whatever. Anyway, regardless, I digress. The origin of the zombies are kind of sad, I'm not gonna lie, and way more serious than we see in like our favorite horror movies. Zombies entered Haitian folklore after the Haitian Revolution in 1804, which ended French colonial rule. Getting a little history lesson over here. Over time, this mythology was woven into the fabric of the voodoo belief systems. So before we go any further, I just want to note and give some historical context. I know, who does she think she is? During French rule, countless Haitians were enslaved and brutally exploited. Even after the revolution, Haitians weren't ever truly free. The Haitians were forced to pay reparations to France. Make it make sense. But this, of course, devastated the country's economy. And while there's obviously a lot more to the story, this backdrop is crucial because it does tie directly into the symbolism of the undead. In voodoo tradition, zombies were believed to be human corpses reanimated by priests or shamans, sometimes to be used as laborers, basically enslaved once again, even after death. This became known as the post-colonial zombie and is, and I quote, a haunting symbol of a nation burdened by the legacy of slavery. Under French colonialism, slavery in Haiti was particularly brutal. When is it not? Half the enslaved Africans brought to the island were literally worked to death within a few years. The zombie in this context wasn't just a spooky tale or a fun, scary movie we all watch. It was a reflection of a collective trauma, misery, and dehumanization. It symbolized what it meant to be stripped of your own self, your own body, your own person, even after death. Many of the enslaved believed that dying would return their souls back to Langini, basically Guinea, a spiritual homeland or afterlife where they would finally be free. So for some, death was seen as the ultimate liberation. But in voodoo belief, as in many religious traditions, taking your own life was forbidden. So those who did were believed to be denied that freedom. Instead, they'd be condemned to remain enslaved even in death, trapped in a body that they no longer owned. Yeah, that's really, really sad and is going to be kind of hard to move on from that. But not all folklore creatures are undead laborers, okay? Some live in spinning cottages, ride giant mortar and pestles, and will absolutely roast you alive if you fail to do your chores. You know how I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one, the only, the Baba Yaga himself, John Wick. Yep. Okay, not actually John Wick, but that's how I first heard the name. I think, yeah. In the movies, they refer to him as Baba Yaga, the boogeyman who's sent to kill the boogeyman. Total badass, but also not even close to what the Baba Yaga actually is. So let's talk about the real Baba Yaga. In Slavic folklore, Baba Yaga is a witch, or sometimes an ogress, who kidnaps, cooks, and eats children. She lives deep in the forest in a cottage perched on giant chicken legs. Cute, I guess. Love that. She isn't actually one person. Instead, like, Baba Yaga is like a species of witch or ogresses. And unlike the witch we tend to know, who fly on little broomsticks, Baba Yaga tends to travel in a flying pestle and mortar. Which actually does seem infinitely more comfortable than a broomstick. Come on. Chuck a little pillow in there. That's kind of comfy, you know? She does have a broomstick though, which is then used to sweep away and hide her tracks. And her cottage in the woods is surrounded by a fence of human bones. And like I said, it sits atop chicken legs, which actually move and allow her and her home to wander around the woods. You know, like a witchy caravan, which is kind of cute. Many stories reference her cottage constantly spinning on top of the chicken legs until one brave visitor commands it to stop. And it does. Okay. I guess, yep. In many stories, Baba Yaga is just someone for the hero to outsmart. But in many cases, the Baba Yaga will just let you go. She'll ask you to do some chores, and if she's happy with you, she'll give you some advice and send you on your merry way. And you know what? Okay, she might be crazy and immoral and dangerous, but she does not go after anyone unprovoked. Okay? In one rendition of like a Cinderella type story, a young girl called Vasilisa is sent to Baba Yaga by her evil stepmother to search for the fire of Baba Yaga. Once she then meets the Baba Yaga, she is forced to fulfill all these tasks, and if she doesn't, she'll lose her life. She completes the task. Baba Yaga sends her home with the fire contained in a magic skull. Vasilisa brings it to the family, and the fire burns her family to death as a punishment for their cruelty. It's not justified, but like, she was trying, so you kind of got to give her that. Maybe she ain't so bad after all. Not that I'm justifying. You know what? Just pack your bags, because for this next one, we're heading to Korea. We're talking about let me Google this, hold on. Okay, for this one, we're talking about the Dokkaebi. Okay? A mischievous goblin-like creature with supernatural powers and the ability to shapeshift. The Dokkaebi's origin actually goes way back to ancient shamanistic beliefs. In Korean folklore, they're thought to come from the spiritual energy of objects that have been used for a long time. These guys are mostly harmless and just love to play pranks on humans. Treat them right and they might even grant you some wishes. And, okay, they're really good at wrestling. They've got kind of like a wild dual personality thing going on. Like, they can bring you a good harvest, but then they can also bring you some contagious diseases, okay? I think it just depends on the day. Most of the time, they're just guys being bros. Dudes being dudes. Dudes who love punking people and having wholesome fun. But trust me, okay? Don't cross them. They hate rude or arrogant folks and will definitely mess with you if you do. One famous tale is the tale of the Dokkaebi's hat. In the tale, a poor man finds the Dokkaebi's hat. The Dokkaebi offers to trade that hat for a meal, but the man says no. So the Dokkaebi challenges him to a bunch of contests, and the man wins every time. In the end, the Dokkaebi gives him a hat as a reward. So, to wrap it up, the Dokkaebi is just a fun, silly little guy. And we love to see it, just a little goblin hanging about. Okay, next one. Listen, now, I did say last week I'd cover a creepy cryptid, and a creepy cryptid I will deliver. Emphasis on creepy. I was hinting at Bigfoot, but then I found something really similar. A Pakistani Bigfoot, you might say. You have no idea how excited I was when I found this because, honestly, I love Bigfoot. I don't know why, I just do. And while researching for this episode, I really wanted to share a story that came from Pakistan, since, that's where my people are from, and that's where I found the Barmanu. Barmanu? Barmanu? Let me Google this one as well. The only pronunciation I can find is this one. Y'all ready? Barmanu. Okay, so we're gonna call him we'll just call him Barmanu, okay? Because I kind of like that. So, like Bigfoot, it's a bipedal humanoid primate. And by bipedal, we just mean he walks on 2 feet and he doesn't have 2 wheels or anything, but whatever. You might not know that, but I do know that because I like research and stuff. But it's okay if you didn't, it's fine. It's not that deep, but I like research. I don't know if you knew that, but I research quite a bit, so that's how I knew that. Anyways, these ape-man creatures live in the mountains and have both human and ape-like features. Some stories say they abduct, and this is where the creepiness comes in. Some stories say they abduct women and do not so nice things to them. There isn't actually a lot of detail about them, and the stories vary depending on where you are. Some people say that they're more of a man, others say they're more of an ape. So, it might just be some hairy dude in the woods. And I personally don't judge that. If that's how someone wants to live their life, go ahead. Be hairy in the woods. A Spanish zoologist named Jordi actually did extensive research on the Barmanu during the 80s and 90s. From what I know, he gathered tens and hundreds of first-hand accounts, and in 1994 he and other cryptologists reported hearing guttural sounds that they described as only a primitive voice box could make. Sadly, he was actually murdered in Afghanistan in 2002. I had never heard of him before this, but his story and research are actually wild, and I might just have to do a full episode about him someday. He was crazy. Well, he wasn't, but his life does seem a bit crazy. Yep. And to close off this episode, we're paying homage to my birthplace, Wales. And if we're talking Welsh folklore, we have to mention the symbol of Wales itself. Now, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one, the only Adraich Goch, the red dragon. Excuse my pronunciation, even though I know I ate that. This story traces back to Arthurian legend. In Historia Regum Britanniae, written between 1120 and 1129, Geoffrey of Monmouth recounts a prophecy by Merlin. According to the tale, a Celtic king's castle kept collapsing, no matter how often it was rebuilt. Merlin revealed that the site was unstable because it lay directly above an underground lake where 2 dragons were sleeping. Now, of course, instead of relocating, the king ordered his men to dig beneath the castle. When they broke through the ground, they awakened 2 dragons. They woke up 2 dragons, one white, one red, who immediately began a fierce battle. Most expected the white dragon to win, but ultimately the red dragon emerged victorious. Merlin explained that the red dragon represented the native Britons, while the white dragon symbolized the invading Saxons. This battle foretold the Britons' eventual triumph over the Saxons, and from that day forward, the red dragon became a proud emblem of the Welsh nation. Now, that might all be myth and folklore, but here's the interesting thing, okay? Now keep this between me and you. An excavation at Dinas Emrys, the very site where the king tried to build his castle, actually uncovered evidence of a lake and a fortress dating back to that time. So you do with that information what you will, okay? And now, guys, that's a wrap on today's whirlwind tour of the weird and wonderful world of folklore. Thanks for sticking around and diving into these crazy stories with me. From Haitian zombies to Baba Yaga's chicken-legged house, I really hope you enjoyed. I'm definitely planning to revisit this episode idea and dive into even more tales from around the world soon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, drop a review, or even share this episode with your favorite weirdo. And if you've got any wild folklore or even stories you want me to explore next, send it my way. I'm always down for more spooky storytelling adventures. Until next time, stay curious, stay quirky, and maybe don't go around waking up sleeping dragons, okay? Okay, bye.